Hello, Tashidele, once again. Nice to see you all uh, participating in this live teaching diligently. So for that, I would like to thank you again. And to continue with what we have been studying from this book by GAMPOPA known as Jewel Ornament of Liberation. And as GAMPOPA mentions here, that all the sentient beings do possess this very nature or seat of enlightenment, that is Buddha nature. And in order to actualize this Buddha nature, we need to have a perfect working base, and that is the precious human life, which we also obtained already, which is very good news. Then, even though we have this precious human life, we need to have a encouragement and proper guidance from our spiritual masters, so that we studied different types of spiritual masters. And now, what is the most important thing that we need to apply in our path in order to free us from the suffering of samsara and to attain perfect enlightenment is the instructions of spiritual master. In other words, it is the method, only method that can lead us to the perfect enlightenment. So this chapter, the method, is being taught by GAMPOPA in this chapter 4. And while he introduced this chapter, he said that even though we have been in this samsara for so many lifetimes, we may have obtained precious human life. We may also have attained spiritual master, but then why are we still in samsara? That was the question that he raised himself. And to answer this question, he said, actually there are 4 obstacles that are actually blocking us from attainment of perfect enlightenment. And those 4 obstacles, as he mentioned in the introductory of this chapter, said the being attached to this life's activity, being attached to pleasure of samsara, being attached to peace of nirvana, and simply not knowing the method how to cultivate bodhicitta. So those were the 4 different reasons why we are still in samsara. So he kindly not only shows us those suffering, or those obstacles, but also he shows us the antidote, to the medicine to heal from those pain, sufferings. So the antidotes he mentioned here are also 4 antidotes to 4 obstacles. So meditating on impermanence is the antidote to being attached to this life's activity. Meditation on reflections of suffering of samsara and knowing how the karma cause and effect works, that's the antidote to the being attached to the pleasure of samsara. And then generating loving kindness and compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings, that is the antidote to being attached to realizations of nirvana. And finally, how and the method how we can cultivate bodhicitta, practice and engage bodhicitta, is the antidote to not knowing how to cultivate bodhicitta. So among these 3 or 4 different types of antidote, we are now focusing on the first one, which is the meditation on impermanence nature. Okay, so here when you see attachment, the first obstacle is being attached to this life's activity. We pay so much attention and importance to these life's activities. Obviously, we do as a human being, and we all do. We all want to be happy. We all want to have good life. We all want to have good house. We all want to have good clothes to wear, good food to eat. This is common kind of goal for us being individual. But having said that, you can still enjoy those needs, but while knowing its nature as impermanence. That way, it will reduce your suffering. For example, if you know the real nature essence of impermanence of something that you love so much, and then still you can be good, be nice, be kind to that individual or particular subject, but at the same time, if you have awareness of that individual being the nature of impermanence, then when that individual falls ill or suddenly passes away, anything happens, then you are not so much overwhelmed by suffering. Then you are not so much disappointed because you already have this awareness of understanding or recognizing the impermanence nature on that particular subject. So this is how it helps us from falling into suffering. So attachment, uh, generally speaking, they are known as three different poisons or three different defilements: ignorant, attachment, and aversion or anger. Among these three, mostly what happens is that when you are in samsara, we are more focused on or we are more overpowered by attachment to anything, to good form, to good sound, good smile, good taste, good texture, all sorts of things we are so much involved and attached to. And once you know that the nature of these phenomena are the nature of impermanence, they are not permanent, then what happens is it is clearing up your delusion, or it is making ourselves, giving us realizations of seeing the nature, true nature of these things. So once you know this true nature, then uh, you can come out of this deluded state of mind. So this is very good actually. That is why what it tells us, the teachings on meditation on impermanence, is that we then are well prepared before anything happens in front of us or to us or in our life. So we are well prepared. We have this knowledge or wisdom of knowing things are impermanence in nature. If you do not know this thing as impermanent nature, then you kind of stick there so hard, stick there and attach there so strongly. And because of that, if someone comes and uh, disturb or makes trouble to that particular subject to whom you are so much attached to, then what happens next is then you give rise to aversion. Then you are not happy. Then your anger arises. And because of that, where did this anger arise from? Is based on your attachment. Because you are too attached to some particular thing, and if there's some blockade or obscurations to that particular thing by any individual, then you give rise to anger to that particular being. And because of that anger as a primary cause, then you will act, you will create karma. And because of that, and it gets worse and worse. And as a consequences of it, you and others will suffer together. So therefore, it is the attachment here which will which is being as a primary cause of your aversions and creations of other karmas. But root cause of this is the ignorant, not knowing that the things, nature of those things are impermanence. So see, when you go back, it all forms from ignorance. So we want to awake from that confusion state of mind or deluded state of mind. And we are trying to, this is why we are trying to get this wisdom of knowing the true nature of impermanence nature of phenomena. Okay? So this is the topic that we are trying to meditate upon, the which is the antidote to attachment to this life, the meditation on impermanence. So before we start tonight's uh, teaching, we'll recite rapish prayers and generating bodhicitta. Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam Lai Jangcho Bardo Dani Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Rolai Benjere Sangye Robarai Sho Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam Lai Jangcho Bardo Dani Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Rolai Benjere Sangye Robarai Sho Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam Lai Changchun bardo dane gyapson che dage jinso gebe sonamgi dolai penchere sangye dro parai sho semjen tamche dewan dan dewe gyo dan den parai gyurje dongan dan dongan ge gyo dan dawai gyurje dongan meben dewan dan ban dan men dawai gyurje ngirin chada ngi dan dawe dan nyom chenpo la ne parai gyurje semjen tamche dewan dan dewe gyo dan den parai gyurje dongan dan dongan ge gyo dan dawai gyurje Dongai me ben de wan dam ba da me ra wan gyo je ngi ren cha da ngi dan da wen da nyon chen bo la ne ba ren gyo je zhen je dam je de wan dan de wen gyo dan den ba ren gyo je dongan dan dongan ye gyo dan da wan gyo Dongai me ben de wan dam ba da me ra wan gyo je ngi ren cha da ngi dan da wen da nyon chen bo la ne ba ren gyo Ba den za we la ma ren bo je da ge ju ro ben me den shu la ka jin chen be go ne je song de go song to ge ngo zhuan zan du. So in order to present this chapter, which is the antidote to the attachment to this life, GAMPOPA has three different points here. The classifications of impermanence and how to meditate upon impermanence and the benefit of impermanence. So among these three, we have completed the first and we are now on the second, how to meditate on impermanence. Okay, so in order to meditate on impermanence, there are different types that GAMPOPA has mentioned here. So we'll be continuing from that. So before we start that, we should again remind ourselves that all uh, all the what do you call this phenomena, composite phenomena. Yes, composite phenomena are nature of impermanence that was taught by Buddha. So that includes outer world and internal sentient beings, all including everyone who are in this world and the container itself. So in other words, both content and container are nature of impermanence. Okay, so that's why Buddha said that all composite phenomena are impermanence. So now we are focusing on our body or our life. So this life has so many causes of death. It is like it is very fragile and more fragile than the bubble blown by the wind, as it's mentioned by GAMPOPA yesterday. So in that case, how amazing it is that we are alive and be able to wake up in the morning from the deep sleep of inhaling and exhaling. So that was the quote from this letter to a friend. So by this, remembering this quote, it will always kind of support us on recalling the impermanence nature of all beings. So, which is a very powerful actually instruction. So how wonderful it is to be alive, because life is so fragile. There's many causes for death, and even especially in this modern time, as we spoke yesterday, many different causes, many different chances to lose our life. But still, we are able to be alive. We are able to wake up from the deep sleep in the morning. So this is amazing and wonderful. a blessing actually. So by knowing this, now what we need to do is we need to utilize this precious human life, because this is so precious that it is very difficult to obtain, and it is of great benefit that we can do anything with this uh, precious human life. We have this all the capability, as is mentioned earlier in the chapter. The Sanskrit term for the human or the man is prana, and so impermanence, isn't it? A very good teacher, the natural teacher. The internet just taught us that anything can happen anytime. So thank you, internet, for reminding us of impermanence, which indeed was very beneficial. So yes, as the quote by Nagarjuna in his letter to a friend, in these wonderful instructions on impermanence is very powerful. So I just want to remind you that. Okay, so we'll continue trying to understand how to meditate on impermanence nature with different method that GAMPOPA is sharing with us here. So the thought method here, he says that there are also three reasons why there will be no help when the death occurs. So first he said that I will die definitely. I will definitely die. That was one reason. Second was the time of death is uncertain. So we already studied these two. Now the third one is there will be no help when death occurs. So that's the third point here. So in order to prove this, we have another sub point to prove this reasoning, or three another reasons to prove that. Okay, and what are those? Number one, we cannot be helped by our wealth. How much wealth you are, how much wealth you have possessed in your life, but at the time of death, you cannot buy your life, you cannot prolong your life, you cannot extend your life. So when the time comes, it comes. So therefore, even our wealth cannot help us at the time of death. Then the second reason is that we cannot be helped by our relatives and friends. Uh, how many relatives you have now, how many friends, good friends you have now, but at the time of the death, you'll be suffering alone. You'll be experiencing all this pain and fear of death. Even though at that very moment, even though you are surrounded by all your family members and your beloved ones, but yet they cannot take away your fear and suffering. It will be only you who will be experiencing this. So therefore, your friends and your relatives will not be able to help you at the time of death. So when you are about to die, at the time of death, your wealth cannot help you. Your relatives and family members cannot help you or protect you from death. And the third reason that he mentioned here is you cannot be helped by your own bodies. So if you are used to be very strong physically, mentally, you are very strong and you do not have any fear of anything, but at the time of death, what happens is everything changes. This very strong body cannot protect you from your own death. So these are the three different reasons to prove that at the time of the death, when the death occurs, no one can help you. So we'll try to read this. Point number one, we cannot be helped by our wealth. As it is indicated in the engaging in the contact of Bodhisattva, it says that although I may live happily for a long time through obtaining a great deal of material wealth, I shall go forth empty-handed and destitute, just like having been robbed by a thief. So this is the instructions on the Bodhisattva's conduct, saying that at the time of the death, you can't be helped by your own wealth. You can't extend your life with wealth, or you cannot exchange your life with wealth, or you can't buy life with wealth. So therefore, even though if you have so much wealth, don't confuse with this and try to be aware of the time when the death comes. This wealth that you are now possessing, to possession wealth, this all will be meaningless at the time of the death. They can't do anything to you. While you are alive, yes, obviously, if you are wealthy, you can do so many good things which can benefit others, which can benefit yourselves, So there are many things you can do with your wealth. But at the time of the death, this wealth will also be not able to help you or not able to protect you from being dying. Okay, so that's what reason why GAMPOPA was mentioning those quotes from Bodhisattva's conduct. So not only that, wealth cannot protect you at the time of the death, but not only that, wealth also gave you so much suffering while you are alive. So how is that so? That what he meant here is that accumulating wealth is not easy, right? To make money is not easy at all. So while accumulating wealth, you went through so many hardships, you went through so many difficult times. That's what he meant here. Besides not benefiting us, wealth harms us in this life and hereafter. So wealth also not only not benefiting at the time of death, but it also harms us in this life and hereafter. So which means that the harms of this life comes from quarreling and fighting for the wealth. So it's not easy, as I mentioned earlier, to make wealth, to make money. It's always difficult. Sometimes you need to quarrel, you need to fight, you need to go all sorts of difficult situations. And also experiencing the suffering of becoming a slave to wealth. So you're always thinking that you need to make money, more money, more and more money. So sometimes you can't sleep, you don't have enough time to sleep, you don't have enough time for your family, you don't have enough time to eat good food. So you are kind of become a slave to wealth. So that's why it has given you so much suffering. And also, when you are able to obtain some wealth, then there's another suffering, that is to how to protect those wealth from thieves. So you have lots of suspicions, like if I deposited my wealth in bank, what happens when the bank bankrupts? What happens when the economy goes slow or down? Or if you have investment in different projects, what happens if the country locks down, like this situation now? You have lots of worries, and it is kind of hardship for us in order to protect those wealth as well while you are alive. And hereafter means after you passes away, we are thrown into the lower realms through the maturations of the result of these actions. So what does that mean? That means that, well, it is very hard to make money, wealth, and while you are on the process of making wealth or money, you have went through so many difficulties, and you may have engaged in non-virtuous act in order to make more money, isn't it? So it's always very hard to make good money, and it's therefore people with their greed, they try to look different ways to make money, or by cheating others, or by all sorts of non-virtuous acts that are involved. So if that case has happened to you, then as a consequences, as a result, you have to bear the results of your own karma. So therefore, this wealth cannot help you at the time of death, and even while you are alive, it has given you so much suffering, hardships, and after that too, if you have involved in non-virtuous act in order to make wealth, then obviously you have to experience the consequences result, right? So therefore, this is what GAMPOPA is trying to tell us, that at the time of the death, your wealth cannot protect you. So second reason here he mentioned here is that at the time of the death, you are not protected. You cannot be protected by relatives and friends. So that means that even though you have many friends now, good big family, supportive family, but at the time of the death, it's only you who is going away from them. So therefore, they cannot protect you from the time of death. So here, as there's a quote saying, when the time of death comes, your children cannot become a refuge, nor can your father, mother, or friends. There is no one in whom you can take refuge. So that means that only refuge at that time would be your uh, dharma, the things that you have uh, created, the good karma actually, the good karma that you have created. So those will be only your refuge, because then, as we knew earlier from earlier subject, that we are just a migrator. So when time comes, we need to leave. So when we leave and for the next rebirth, what will help which will help us is only your creations of good karma. So it depends on your karma where your next destination is. So therefore, at the time of death, there is no other refuge than the Dharma itself. So beside not benefiting us at the time of the death, relative has given us suffering while we are alive too. They have given us suffering. How did they give us suffering? So we will understand here. Relative will harm us in this life and hereafter. The harm of this life is great suffering from the fear that these relatives and friends may die, or they may get sick, or they may be defeated by others. So all this, worrisome, because obviously we have care and concern for our relatives and friends. We love them so much. So because of that, we have lots of worry about them, whether they have taken food on time, whether they have taken medicine on time, whether they are protected well, or whether they are sick or ill, or whether they are tortured by others. All this worrisome, especially our parents, especially our mother, have this kind of worrisome for their children, because they dearly loves their children a lot. So therefore, because of that, it has also given you so much suffering while you are alive. But at the time of the death, these to whom you have given so much time and concern and care, they also are helpless to help you. They can't help you at the time of the death. So that is what the message is here. Hereafter, we are thrown into the lower realms through the maturations of results. So that means that while you are alive, if you have cultivated or involved in non-virtuous act in order to make our family and relatives happy, or support them through through different non-virtuous means. So that is the creations of karma again. So then what you need to do is we will be able to we're facing the consequences of our own creations of karma. So therefore, that is why it says the relatives, family members, they cannot help you at the time of the death. While you are alive, you went through so much suffering by taking care of them, by concerning their well-being and so forth. So again, if you have involved in non-virtuous act well, try to take care of them, then as a consequences of that creations of karma, you will be experiencing the result. So the third point here That's what GAMPOPA wants us to know, is that even your own body cannot help you at the time of death. So in other words, we cannot be helped by our own bodies, our own body, this body. We cannot be helped by our own bodies. We cannot get help from the qualities of the body, nor from the body itself. Qualities of the body or body itself. What does that mean? That means that we cannot get, first, no matter how powerful and strong body you may be, quality of body, it cannot turn back death. No matter how limber and swift, you cannot escape death. No matter how learned and eloquent you may be, we cannot escape death by debating. So, quality of your body, how smart you are, how intelligent you are, how capable you are, but you cannot defeat that. You cannot debate with that. You cannot, overcome that. So therefore, even this body, don't expect something from others. Don't expect that wealth can help you at the time of death. Don't expect that your family and friends can help you at the time of the death. But this very body which belongs to you, even this very body and the quality of this body also cannot help you at the time of the death. You may be very strong and skilled and very flexible body. You may be very strong that you have defeated so many enemies and so forth. But at the time of the death, you can't escape from death. You cannot overcome death. You cannot defeat death. You cannot debate death with your all the skills and knowledge. So that's what he meant here. So there's another example he mentions here. When the sun is setting on the mountain, no one can postpone it or hold it back. Likewise, when the time of death occurs, no one can hold or help us from being dead or dying. As it is said that this body itself also cannot help us at the time of the death. The body, which is well sustained by food and clothes that are accumulated through great hardship, will also not accompany you. But this soul body, which you have taken so well, fed them well, clothed them nicely, nourished them, but at the time of the death, this body, even this body cannot help you. This body will be wasted. Either it will be cremated in a blazing fire, or it will be buried under the ground, or it will be thrown into the water, or will rot under the water, or it will be given to eagles and birds, so according to different culture and religion. So this very body which you have cherished so much, which you have cherished so much that if things went wrong, or even if someone said something to your body with regard to your body, you have reacted in very different ways with aversion. For example, if someone said that your body looked like that kind of some kind of animal, then with that aversion, as a reaction of that, you have created so many karma. You have, when you went through so much hardships in order to protect this body, but at the time of the death, this very body, also you cannot take this very body with you. It will be wasted, buried under the ground, or will be set or cremated in a blazing fire, or will be shattered around. So therefore, it has no meaning at all. So therefore, you should not be so attached to this life and this body, these possessions, this relative, these families. But having said that, obviously you need to have compassion, loving kindness and compassion to all beings around you. But that doesn't mean that you have to be so attached to them. Your attachment should not be particular being. You can transform your attachment into loving kindness and compassion. You can share this attachment not only into singular particle or subject. You can expand this kind of concern for all beings. So that's better actually. That will give you less suffering than by focusing on one individual, or focusing or being attached to one particular subject. So this is how we can train ourselves. Okay. So not only that, besides not bringing benefit at the time of death, this very body, it will cause harm in this life and hereafter. So in a very similar way, the harm in this life is that this body cannot tolerate sickness, heat, hunger, thirst. So while you are alive, because you pay so much attention and importance to this body, you cling this body so much, not knowing its nature of impermanence, you did everything to protect it. You did everything to nourish this body. And while doing so, you have suffered a lot. So when there's a heat that you can't bear, then you need to find solution for that. So when you're too cold or freezing and you can't bear this sensation, then you are able to find solution for that. So it's not easy to get air condition and room heater, but you have to. So in order to have those things, one need to need to go on different types of hardships while you are alive. So in order to protect this body. So that's why it says this has given us so much hard time. Not only that, you have also fear that someone will hit or beat this body. You also have fear that someone will or may kill it, or also that fear that someone may torture it, or fear that someone may skin it. So with this different worrisome, in order to protect your own body, you have went through so much suffering. So there hereafter, by this body's fault, we are thrown into the lower realms through the maturations of the result. So in order to protect our body, we may have engaged in non-virtuous act, and that's the creations of karma. And because of that, obviously, we have to experience the consequences. So these are another last different ways of meditating on impermanence nature, okay, of self and others, this time self, our body, our family members, relatives, our wealth. So we meditate on these things, and we can realize now that we cannot be so proud of ourselves. We should not be so proud of ourselves, having wealth, having name and fame, having so many retinues, so many friends and relatives, and also being so strong body, mentally strong and physically fit. All these things will not be supportive at the time of the death. So this will all change. This will all change in a momentary way. So therefore, you should understand this nature. So the sooner you understand the nature of this impermanence, the better and easier to tackle with when the time of death comes or approach to you. So that is why it is very important to have this knowledge. The next is applying others' impermanence to oneself. What does that mean? That means that when you see someone passing away, when you see someone feeling sick, or when someone is catching a epidemic disease, or when someone is going through so hardship, so at that time, when you see those changes in different individuals, or someone who is very near to you, someone who suddenly passes away, someone who was so fit yesterday and today suddenly finds out that he or she has this epidemic disease, for example. So when this situation takes place, you have to, see and observe and also meditate that I am not different from them. This may happen to me too. Anything is possible because of impermanence nature. So that's why this meditation is applying others' emptiness to oneself, to understand, to experience the impermanence nature. Okay. So for this, there are three different types here. Practicing impermanence of death by applying others' impermanence refers to observing another person's death or hearing another person's death, or if you hear, oh, someone passed away today. So when you hear this, like for in the monastery, there are lots of requests for prayers. So most of the time, it is either someone sick or someone passes away or passed away. So they request us to perform Shukavati prayers. So when we hear this news, oh, someone passed away today, then what we need to do is we need to contemplate that, oh, I'm no different from this nature. One day, you may hear my news too, saying, oh, KHENPO CHONYI passed away, please request Shukavati prayers. Very possible. So whenever you hear someone passes away or passed away, then you also contemplate yourself, I am no different from this nature. I may also face this death any time. This is how you analyze or contemplate impermanence nature of death, and also recollecting it in the mind or thinking of your very close friend who was very fit and healthy, but because of experiencing suffering because of suddenly diagnosed as epidemic disease and then passes away. You can recollect this story of your life, someone to whom you have spent so many good times together, raised together, went to school together, or someone who is your partner in the business or whatever. So if that individual has terrible disease or has passed away, then you can recollect this thought and then also meditate and think that I'm also not different from this nature. This can happen to me too. So if you have this meditation, it's very powerful actually to contemplate impermanence. Otherwise, if you say, okay, things are impermanent, weather changes, like yesterday we talked about 4 different changes in the 4 seasons. That doesn't really, concern us so much, right? Okay, it changes, it's day, it's night, no much feeling. But when you really contemplate death and someone whom you are so close to, when this kind of person dies, or someone who dies or died at very young age, then you feel so much, emotional. Then you are overwhelmed. Then you really feel that it is necessary to practice, or it is necessary to do things right away. Don't wait. Don't expect that there's a time and situation waiting for you. Don't don't wish that things to be permanent, because that's not the case in reality. So therefore, it is always better to have this wisdom earlier than later. So next, I think since this is kind of how we can meditate upon by observing someone's death, so we, if possible, if you can sit and close your eyes and concentrate on my words while I'm reading, and that will be sometimes very beneficial. So I'll try to read from the text, and you can just relax and close your eyes and contemplate or meditate on sound. Okay. The first one is practice the meditation on the impermanence of death by observing another who is dying. For example, consider when a very close relative or friend whose body is very strong, who has a very bright complexion and a very positive feeling, and who has no feeling of death in his or her mind, not at any cost. Suppose he or she suddenly caught by a deadly disease. All the strength of his body is lost, and he or she cannot even sit up. His radiant face or complexion disappears. His face becomes colorless. His feeling is that of suffering. He cannot tolerate the sickness. He cannot endure the pain. The medicines and the medical treatment have no effect. Religious rituals and ceremonies no longer help. He or she understands that he or she will die, that there is no other choice. He or she gathers his or her last friends and relatives. He or she eats his or her last food, repeats last words. At that time, when you observe this, contemplate that I am also of the same essential nature, in the same condition, and have the same character. I am not beyond this reality. Continue. When his breathing has stopped, from then, no matter how lovable and important he may have been in that house, from that point on, he cannot pass one more day there. He is laid down on a stretcher, bound and tied across, and the corpse carrier takes him away. Some people in that household embrace the corpse and cling to it affectionately. Others weep, others fall on the ground in a faint. Once the corpse has been carried out of the house, and you see that it will never return to the house, then you should practice the meditation. Recollect all this and contemplate. I am also of the same essential nature, in the same condition, and have the same character. I am not beyond this reality. Continue. When this corpse is brought into the cemetery and thrown there, when it is cremated in a blazing fire, or when it is buried under the ground, or when it is thrown into the water, when the bones are scattered here and there, when you see these things, recollect as before by contemplating that I am also of the same nature, in the same condition, and have the same character. I am not beyond this reality. Okay, now you can open your eyes. So these instructions on meditating upon die or death is very powerful. Then you can really feel, within yourself about the impermanence nature. It's not just some news that you read and how many people died, and it becomes kind of habit, and then you don't have so much concern of, or it will not be helpful for you to remind yourself of impermanence nature. But if you meditate to someone who is very close to you and who has got this disease and passed away at a very young age, then it has more power to recognizing the impermanence nature and the wisdom of knowing the impermanence nature and applying that into our way in the same manner, thinking that I am not beyond this reality. So this will help us to practice impermanence. in practical, very practical way. Okay, so next is practice the impermanence of death by hearing that others have died. Now the news, if someone's died, death, if you send condolence to someone, at that time, just don't send just empty, dried condolence words, but really feel this, and also contemplate that I'm also in the same nature. So that will have more benefit. When you hear that someone is dead or that there's a corpse, and recollect the impermanence of death as before by contemplating that I am also the same nature, and so forth. The third one is to practice the impermanence of death by recollecting others who have died in the past. Recollect the death, young or old, who accompanied you in your country, in your town or home. Recollect this as before by contemplating that before too long I will also be of the same nature, and so forth. As it says in the sutra, since it is uncertain which will come earlier, tomorrow or the world hereafter, then without making effort for tomorrow, one should get ready for the hereafter. So not wasting your time just only focusing on this importance of this lifetime, also focus on the importance of life after death or life hereafter. So we have to, since we are migrator, we have no right to stay for long. We don't have permanent resident. That's reality. So we need to go to different realms. So in order to go to different realms, obviously we'd like to go to good realms, right? We have good possibilities, good fortune. Then it is up to you now to make that cause happening, to create that karma, so that you can able to go to that particular realm with possibilities of happiness, enjoyment, and developing loving kindness and compassion. So in order to able to gain this precious human life again and again, so that you can utilize this precious human body as a tool for reaching the enlightenment state of mind. So finally, the last one is beneficial effects of meditation. So okay, after now it is quite sad, right? Quite sad to study impermanence nature, but we can't get rid of this. This is reality. So we need to study this and contemplate. But now is the good news. So what happens when you practice and contemplate and meditate on impermanence nature? Is there any benefit of it? Yes, definitely there's a benefit. So what are the beneficial effects of meditation? So the third point, which comprise this chapter. The last point is the beneficial effects of meditating on impermanence nature. Awareness of impermanence of all composite phenomena leads one to release attachment to this life. So now you know that things are not permanent, so then you don't attach too much. You can release your attachment to this life. That's what it helps. By understanding the nature of impermanence, then you can release attachment to this life. Otherwise, being ignorant, thinking that things are permanent, then you have so much attachment. And because of attachment, in order to protect that particular thing, if there's some disturbance, if someone's cause contradictory, then you get rise to aversion or hatred, and then from there you create karma, right? So that's why it will bring suffering. You are creating another cause for further suffering. So therefore, instead of doing this, if you understand beforehand that things are impermanence by nature, then you will not follow all these creations of karma. You can release attachment. So when you are able to release attachment, then there is no base to give rise to aversion. And because of that, there is no base for creations of non-virtuous act. And because of not creating cause, then you don't have to experience its result. Okay, and furthermore, the meditation on impermanence nourishes faith, supports our diligence in the practice, and quickly frees one from the attachment and hatred. No attachment, no hatred. Okay? And if you know this truth, then you are free from ignorance too. Not knowing the nature of impermanence before, under ignorance, now you know the nature of impermanence, so you are free from that ignorance too as well. And you realize wisdom. So it becomes a cause for realizations of equal nature of all phenomena. Equal nature of all phenomena as impermanence nature. So this is the good sign of it by practicing or meditating on impermanence nature. As I want to repeat this quote again, all the conditioned things are impermanent. So when one sees this wisdom, one is turned away from suffering. And this is the path of purification. And you also should know that one does not own anything in this world permanently. All you have now, wealth, fame, name, positions, friends, relatives, or even this strong body, healthy body, tall body, you cannot own this permanently. It's all impermanent. It's all for temporary. So utilize this in a very proper way without having so much attached to it. No attachment, no base for aversion to take place. Once we recognize that all things are impermanent, we have no problems enjoying them. You can still enjoy things, but in a different manner. You know things will not last forever, but still you can utilize those things. You can still enjoy yourself. Why? In fact, real peace and joy are the only possible when you see clearly into the nature of impermanence. Otherwise, it will be suffering. It will lead to disappointment. It will lead to suffering of the future. That is why it is always better to have this realization of impermanence nature. Okay. Having said that, you can still enjoy things around you. It doesn't mean that when you realize the impermanence nature, you should stop everything. No, not like that. You can utilize it in a proper way, in a proper manner. You can overcome your laziness and delaying things, habit of delaying things. You'll be more focused. You will be more diligent. You can finish your practices if you really know the nature of impermanence. Otherwise, what happens that we have lots of complaints from our different students saying that, oh, I've been practicing Buddhism for so many years. I had all these empowerments and teachings. I did so many retreats and recitations of mantra, but nothing happened to me. I don't have any realization. And this is because I think we did not pay attention to the importance of this, impermanence nature. If we have paid importance to impermanence nature, we have definitely applied those antidotes to release ourselves from the attachment of this life, to release ourselves from the non-virtuous act and defilements, to release ourselves from jealousy, pride, aversion, hatred. If we have implemented these words of wisdom, this method, these instructions of spiritual masters, then definitely we have experienced the realization. So this is very important. So I want to conclude tonight's teaching with one quote again. Impermanence is very important and crucial for life. That is why instead of complaining about impermanence, you have to say, long live impermanence. Why? Because of impermanence, everything is possible. We have chances, we have hope. Okay? Take care. So please join hands together to dedicate this merit for the well-being of others. So nam de tamje segba nye thopne nye be dhanam pamje ne gega nache balab trogba sebe zole dowa dowa rai sho.
Today, everyone, can we recite all the mantras? First, we take refuge and generate bodhicitta. For that, you visualize that in front of you, the sky, your guru, and surrounded by Buddha and Dharma Sangha, countless of Buddha and Bodhisattvas are real there in front of you. Then with great devotion and faith, they will take refuge and generating bodhicitta. Oi sanje je da hai so ge cho na la chan cho ya pra to e da ne ja so je da ge je so je be so na ge do la e ben je Sanje to Brarasho Sanje Jedan Zogi Jonala Janjo Braido Dane Jazo Dage Jinso Jibi Sanangi Dola benje sanje to braresho sanje jedan zogi shonala janjo brado dani jazunje Dage Jinso Jibi Sanamge Dola Benje Sanje To Barareshu Semje Tamje Dewa Dan Devi Jodan Den Brai Juroje Dwangal Dan Dungal Ki Jodan Dawara Juroje Dungal Me Bente Wadam Bada Me Dawara Juroje Nyeren Chadani Dan Dave Tanyama Chembola Ne Brai Juroje Semje Damje Dewa Dan Devi Jodan Den Brai Juroje Dungal Dan Dungal Ki Jodan Dawara Juroje Dungal Me Be Dewa Dan Bai Dan Mien Dawai Juroje meditate on Tonglen, that when we meditate on the Tonglen, it is to help us to increase our bodhicitta and reduce anger, attachment, ignorance, desire are reduced. Therefore, this meditation is very important to develop loving kindness and compassion. Okay, this meditation apply with your breathing. Sorry, we say giving and taking means give means we give sincerely that our love and compassion, then our happiness and our merits we give to the other mother sentient beings. Take means we taking all that their pain, sufferings, and the cause of the sufferings we take. Then this meditation apply with your breathing. You breathe in, and that time you imagine that all the mother sentient beings, their sufferings, their pain, their fears, all come out from their body form of a black smoke. And also cause of the suffering is the ignorance, attachment, and hatred. They all come out form of the black smoke. Then you breathe in with your breathing, you breathe in to go into your nose to the heart level. Then at the heart level, then you have a wisdom, the fire, small fire there. Then fire will burn all their black smoke on all their pains, of course of a pain, all burn off. They imagine they are free from the suffering and the cause of the suffering. Then when we breathe out, then we visualize that from your body, that your merits, your happiness, your love, compassion, all come out form of a white color smoke. Come out with your breathing and go out and dissolve to all the mother sentient beings. And they receive happiness and the cause of the happiness, that they forever stay with the happiness and the cause of the happiness. They will meditate this on this visualization. Okay, now we recite mantras. First, we recite the Avalokiteshvara's mantra. That time you visualize that yourself and the place and all the beings are transformed. The out of this world is pure land of the Avalokiteshvara. Then all the beings and yourself form is Avalokiteshvara's form. It's transparent. It's not solid. Then your speech reciting the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum is the essence of all the Buddha's teachings. Then your mind is mind of the generosity, that love and compassion to all the mother sentient beings. So you concentrate, and this visualization, they will give you so joyful. See, normally our mind is, we think either past, either future, not much at the present. When we think of the past, it makes us sadness or hatred. If we think of a future, then that gives us hope. Once we have a hope, then we have fear. There's a past, future, both give us unpleasant mind. Then you concentrate on this chanting mantra, this visualization, that our mind is at present here. When mind is in the present, it will give us joyful and positive thoughts. We recite more mantra, more concentration on this, then this joy habit into our mind. Then that's why we develop our mind in a positive way. Therefore, very important to concentrate. Now we visualize that, concentrating that all the sentient beings are generation, then ourselves generation. Now we are all chanting mantra together. So your mind must concentrate on that. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Mani Omani beme, 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 the long life Dharani, they bring into the Amitayu, long life of Buddha. Therefore, you visualize that above your head, lotus, giant lotus, and the moon cushion. On the moon cushion, that Buddha Amitayu is Sambhogakaya form. He's sitting on that, on a moon cushion. He is red in color, one face, two hands, radiating light from his body. Then his two hands and a meditation posture, holding the vase, we call it longevity or long life vase. Now from your heart, with your faith and radiate light, this light dissolve into his heart and request him to give us the blessings. Then from his body radiate light. This light go 10 directions. This light will collect all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, body, speech, mind, blessings. Blessings all come out with the light. Then also we collect, like we collect the energy of the universe. Then also they collect essence of 5 elements. So all he collect and dissolve into his long life vase. The long life vase filled up by all the energy and the blessings. The overflow, the nectar from the vase. The nectar come and go into your crown, to go into your body. Your body is filled up by the nectar, to purify, remove all the obstacles, obscurations. Then nectar fill up your body, you imagine that you have received the blessings of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and increase your energy, positive energy, increase, prolong your life, prosperity. Then your body is very bright and shining. To concentrate that visualization, they recite the mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayurjana Subhine Tate Dorajaya Tatagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Teyata Pune Pune Mahapune Aparimita Pune Aparimita Sarva Sankara Parishuddhi Dharmati Gangana Samangati Subhava Vishuddhi Mahana Parivari Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayojana Subhini Siddhati Surajaya Tathagata Arhate Samya Sambuddhaya Te Yata Om Pune Pune Maha Pune Aparimita Pune Aparimita Pune Jana Sambharo Bhajete Om Sarva Sankara Parishuddha Dharmati Gangana Samangat Subhava Vishuddhi Mahanaya Parivare Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayuyan Subhine Chittate Zorajaya Tathagata Arhati Samya Sambuddhaya Te Yata Om Punni Pun Mahabone Aparimita Pune Aparimita Pune Jana Sambharo Bhajite Om Sarva Sankara Parashuddha Te Gangana Samangate Sobhava Vishuddhi Mahanaya Parivare Swaha Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayojana Subhini Chittate Zoraja Tathagataya Arhate Samya Sambuddhaya Te Yata Om Pune Pune Maha Pune Aparimita Pune Aparimita Pune Jana Sambharo Bhajite Om Sarva Sankara Parishuddhi Dharmati Gangana Samunga Sobhava Vishuddhi Mahanaya Parivare Soha. After that, recite the medicine Buddha's long mantra and the short mantra. Therefore, you visualize that from your heart radiate light, this light go to the pure land of the medicine Buddha. Then this light dissolve into the medicine Buddha's heart. That with your faith that requests medicine Buddha to give us the blessing, give us the purification, and give us the blessings. Then through his compassion, love and compassion, the nectar flow from his begging bowl. Then they come into your crown or into your body, and also nectar flow to all the Mother Saint Germain's crown and go into their body. This nectar will purify all the sickness and cause of the sickness, all the developments, all purified. Then nectar flood your body. To imagine that you have received the medicine Buddha's body, speech, mind blessings. Then you are, imagine that we are free from all the sickness and the development. Om Namo Bhagavate Bhekante Guru Bendruya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Deyata Om Bhekante Maha Bhekante Raja Samungate So Om Namo Bhagavate Bhekante Guru Bendruya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Deyata Om Bhekante Maha Bhekante Raja Samungate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bhekante Guru Bendruya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Deyata Om Bhekante Maha Bhekante Raja Samungate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bhekante Guru Bendruya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Deyata Om Bhekante Maha Bhekante Samungate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bhekante Guru Bendruya Prabharajaya samya sambuddhaya te yata om bekanje maha bekanje rancha samungate so om namo bhagavate bekanje guru bindruya prabharajaya tathagata arahate samya sambuddhaya te yata om bekanje maha bekanje rancha samungate so om namo bhagavate bekanje guru bindruya prabharajaya tathagata arahate samya sambuddhaya te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate sova om namo bhagavate bekanje guru bindruya prabharajaya tathagata arahat samya sambuddhaya te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate soha te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so te yata om bekanje maha bekanje raja samangate so now it's a lomachim me mantra oh yeah padna shavari mantra padna shavari is the deity in front of you. Then padna shavari is one of the 21 tara. The with our faith and we chant the mantra, then nectar flow from his body. This nectar come, go into your crown, go into your body. This nectar will purify of the aspiration, especially this mantra's power will be purified all kind of disease. Do you imagine that all the diseases are purified? Om Pishachi Pranasha Vari Savan Sola Prashamani Sava Om Pishachi Pranasha Vari Saravan 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 Sola Prashamani Sava. Dorji number jumpa mantra or Dharani Dorji number jumpa. Visualize that Dorji number jumpa deity is in front of you. Then the nectar flow from his body, then go into our crown and the body, to purify our obscurations, all the negative energy. All the sickness. And this mantra is very powerful for the purifying the obscuration and the bad energy. music running. So visualize that our music is in front of you. Also make the flow from his body. The purify go into your crown and purify all the obscurations, all the sickness, and all the our bad energy are purified. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum Be Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Om Buru Kum Maha Pamana Ye Buzi Buki Bimale Uzu Makroda Hum. Again, medicine Buddhas. You visualize that in front of you, that 8 medicine Buddhas and surrounded by 16 bodhisattvas, then other countless of medicine deities are there. With your devotion and your faith, you pray, request them to give us the blessings that cure our sickness, purify our obscurations. Oh, it is by my life, Chenpo joy do ge me joy do je tin le la de ne do we ne re ma le shi ju ro ji de ya ta om be kan je ma be kan je Ranza samanga te so te yata om bekanje maham bekanje ranza samanga te so te yata om bekanje maham bekanje Samanga te so te yata omoy bekanje maham bekanje ranja samanga te so te yata omoy bekanje maham bekanje raja samanga te so te yata omoy bekanje maham bekanje raja samanga te so te yata bekanje Raja samangate so vai semje ne ba engineer Nyurdo ne le dajro ji dove ne amalam tato juwa me parare ju. Okay, when we do this phrase, you must think of all the meanings. Sente ye min de ve ne na ingen jide kam so jong wa re ma jro ji je tara she me te be se ja shin ke je la le sen je so cho ne ge do nga je ni ba ji de gan so jo wa ra ma ju ro ji chi da xian ji kai na ji ba da ne ge mi za man te bi da ji bi nin ji ba da da bi ren so ge li ji gun la ne ba ma ju ji ne pe ge re ton tai je jo da lo bro ye do sun ja do jo 西家在西年来所拜因，历劫根来在我来满足了经，历生的话满里头的边，众些特别。马来西西当对的白当，七人里面的几的巴拉拉来说，拉玛干就松给多接当。看到这种说明你对当，连的路外面别的都给我话么那么带这多巴拉拉的说 Repeat page 4. Le da lo bro ge le jong wa ye den da ne da jong bo che wa so sem je ye mi de we ne na ge ji de ga so jong wa ra ma je tarai she me che be se ja she ke je la le se men je be so cho ne ge do nga la ji ni ba ji de ka so期待现界看那这白搭，你给命怎的别着急别，年纪白搭大别人说给。ले जे के ला ने परामा जुरो ची ने बेगे रे तों था जे जो दा लो बरो ये दो सुमान जा दो जो दा 西家在西。ne lai so ba ye le je ke lai je wa ra ma jro ji le sen de wa ma le to je be jung she to be du nga la ji马来西亚当多拜的拜当，七人里面的几的巴拉来说，拉玛干就什么给头接当，看着这种。所面女都当，人的路哇，没别的多经，我哇嘛拉嘛带这都不来 Repeat page 4. Le da la bra ge le juro ba yi den da ne da jong bo se wa so sem je ye mi de ya ve ne nam ge ji de kan so jong wa ra ma juro Jidra sheme te be se jai shi ke je la le samai de je be so to ne ge do nga je ni ba je de kan so jun wa ma juro ji chi da xian jie ka na zhi bai da ne ge mian za man te be da ji be nin jie bai da dai be rim so ge le je ge la ne pra ma juro ro ji ne be ge re ton ta je jo da lo bro yen do su man ja do jo da xie jia zai jie ne lai so ba yin li ji gen lai ce wa ra ma ju ru ji li se men de wa ma li to ji bi jun xie to bi do nga lai ji ni ba ma le xie xin dan do de ba dan ce re ne men de ji de ba ra sho la mai gon jo su man ye to je dan kan do che jong su mian ni do dan lien de lo wa me be den do je mo wa mo la ma ta se do ba ra shu yama ho ma sa san je na wa ta ye da ye so jo do je chen bo da yen do sen ba to je to na la san je jang se ba me ko je ko de je wan sa pa do me ba yi de wai jin xie jia wei xin gang de da xin de ne ce be ju ma da ye wai xin jie ba ma che ba de ro ge ne na de che dun sho de ge da ge me lan da ba de chu ju san je jiang zhen tam ji ge ge me do bra jin ge la so te ya tha ben da ji ya a wan bo da na ye so ha chu de je wa se ji gong CHONYI zo la je ran da ge ji san ge sa ba quan cho som la che ba bo ja ve ten ba ke la jo ji ge wa sen je ke la ngo do ge san je tho jo ro ji ge sa tam ji 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 da xian ju la min ju ji jin nian dane so te sere ne me nyam to be de sa jo nan jo ji nam she se be ju ma ta de wa chen do ji ju ji che ne pe me kha je de le de la san je John Chobatane Jisedo Tube Doa de Now we do dedication. Dedicate that. From beginning list until now, whatever we have accumulated merits, virtues, then we share with all the mother sentient beings. By this merits, all the mother sentient mother beings liberate from the sufferings, pain, and obtain enlightenments. Oi senandi tanjin se bai tone ye be dai na bai ke gai na je ba la ba jo e ba ye si pe so le do wa do Thank you.